I'm Kevin Kerr, editor of Global Commodities Alert. I hope you enjoy our 2009 Agriculture Report. We take a look at all the crops across the board and what trading opportunities there might be in 2009 and into 2010. Of course, we'll look back at 2008 and see what happened last year to get a good handle on what might happen going forward. I hope you enjoy the report.
These days, it is a good thing you don't fill your car up with milk. The average price of milk is now $3.91 a gallon. Regular gasoline, meanwhile, is averaging $3.07 a gallon. Staple items at the grocery store are rising and fast. Today, we look at the cost of some of these commodities and how much consumers are willing to shell out at the gas pump or in the grocery aisle. We're talking with Kevin Kerr. He's the senior commodities analyst.
Energy and farming are very interconnected. We've seen prices ratchet up because the price of crude and gasoline and the products we use to transport all these materials to the store, to harvest them, all these prices have ratcheted up so high. It's certainly put here too, the biggest one being ethanol production from corn. That has really driven dairy prices much, much higher.
And explain for people who don't understand, because everybody has been talking about wheat prices, corn prices, ethanol prices. Why are they so expensive, and how are they impacting the consumer at the grocery store?
Well, bottom line, the corn has driven almost 40, 50, 60% higher over the last couple of years because of the ethanol demand. You know, corn is a staple commodity. It's in everything from shoe polish to sweeteners and soda drinks. So the bottom line is it's in everything.
It won't affect you if you don't live around there, but you would be wrong, because those fields that are underwater right now should be producing corn. And because they're not, that could have a big impact on your grocery bill. Kevin Kerr is a commodities trader. He's here to tell us a little bit about this. Kevin, we have seen the price of corn increase in the last couple of years in large part because the demand for corn has increased, partially because the demand for corn has increased, partially because we use it in ethanol. We're not really in a position to lose corn crops right now, but that might be what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a worst case scenario. You know, we already, farmers have had a bad year. Got off to a late planting season because of the cold, wet weather in the Midwest, so they were behind anyway. And now this horrific flooding, key states, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, those crops are all underwater. It could be devastating this year.
How widespread do you think this is? Because you follow this trading very quickly. You're involved in it. Do you see this as ongoing, or do you think we'll be able to recover from this very quickly? How do you even recover from something like this?
Well, that's a very good question, because I don't think we do. Unfortunately, a lot of the farmers in Indiana had got their crops in the ground, and the thing with corn is it needs to have a mature root system so it can handle the heat coming in. We're already getting that heat out east, but we'll be getting that in June and July as we go on, and if the corn doesn't have a structure to handle that, and with this flooding, most of it's underwater anyway. Even if farmers were going to replant, they'd need to get the seed, the fertilizer, the diesel fuel. All that costs a lot of money.
How does it affect you? Well, it affects what we use as sweetener. It affects feed for animals. So the increase in the price of corn, what effect has it had on everything else that we eat?
Yeah, it really rolls downhill. You know, feed is a key component of corn. We feed our dairy cattle with it, hogs, and we've seen hog prices already to feed hogs.
Planting more corn in the United States because there's been more demand, but from what I've heard, we're not planting enough to make up for the increased demand in corn that we've got. So we're not ahead of the curve on corn.
No, unfortunately, and a large part of that, of course, as you've mentioned, is the things like cotton and other crops will probably be scarcer as we go on.
Because it's just more advantageous, and it's more worthwhile to plant corn.
More money immediately for those crops. And cotton, for example, is a very expensive crop to plant and maintain. So corn is very attractive.
Kevin, good to see you.
In 2008, I was asked to speak all over the world. I traveled to Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, Vancouver, and many other places. Everybody wants to discuss agriculture, what the future holds, and what the trading opportunities are.
في سهم واتجاهات معي أنا نهى علي على شاشة CNBC عربي.
الصويا للارتفاع، كيف ترى العلاقة ما بين الذرة وحبوب الصويا؟
Well, the corn and soybeans.
إن الذرة وحبوب
palm oil expenditures in US dollars. Do you think, in your opinion, this could lead to a lot more volatility in the crude palm oil prices, because of saying a lot of commodity traders or commodity funds tend to only buy US dollar denominated commodities? Could this happen with palm oil now?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a lot of interest in the palm oil market. I was in Miami speaking to a lot of hedge fund managers there. I'll be here in Singapore speaking with people this week at the Plantation Asia Conference. A lot of interest in this market. Certainly if it's denominated in dollars, it's going to draw in a lot more fund interest. But agriculture and then the whole sector has grown in the last 3 years. We've seen in the U.S. The volatility we've seen in the markets has been extreme. We've never experienced this in the last couple of years.
Nothing beats seeing things firsthand. That's why I try to get out every year, get into the fields and talk to farmers and ranchers and see what is actually happening. And that's exactly what we do again in the 2009 Agri.
Per acre, and where we use finishing barn or farrowing barn manure off the sow barns, you have to put more on per acre. Or what I did last year is I put on about the same rate, but then I went over and touched it up. Where I was putting it on really didn't need extra phosphorus, but I did need a little extra nitrogen to raise the crop.
The 90-day variety of corn or 120 days, what are people planting?
Around here, I would say, no, we do them
But don't you ever dream about a life where corn don't grow. You just sat there sighing.